Hey everyone, and welcome to Signals from the Frontline, your every Wednesday live broadcast brought to you by Frontline Gaming. We are your hosts, Kicker, the Chief of Serial, and Sigilite of the FLG. And I'm Seth the Mad Doc, your competitive correspondent. Kicker, buddy, have you been?
Well, Seth, may the 4th be with you. Yes,
Yes.
we're going to talk about nothing but Star Wars for the next 45 minutes. Let's do this right now. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? Go. Okay, I'm joking. This is 40K. We're going to talk about 40K. So
I'm just going to upset chat tonight.
all right, just go
Mission
with it.
upset chat. I really liked Kylo Ren.
Oh, really? Wow. No.
Come at me,
No.
chat. Come
Bad
at me.
answer. I was going to say the Jawas. Like, they're not really a
The
character,
Jawas?
but just Jawas in general.
They don't have a
like,
character. They
doesn't
just
make a
steal
difference.
things.
They're still the coolest damn thing in the entire Star Wars universe. All right, guys, let's actually talk about some hobby progress. I have been painting and working and crafting, and boom, right there. Look at those. Those are my. Can you tell what those are going to be? Do you have any idea what those are going to be, Seth? By the way, if you're listening to a
I
podcast, you
think
should
they
be watching.
are heretical scum that must be purged from this tabletop, but I
That is
believe they're Rangers.
That is a photo of my Dire Avenger Count As. So I'm
Dire
using
Avenger.
Corsair bodies and Eldar Scourge helmets to kind of make them look like Dire Avengers, a little unique from the
They're
rest of the
looking real
Eldar.
good. I will
Yeah.
be very excited to kill them.
I'm all about the kit bashing. Guys, if you're listening to our podcast, you should be watching it. We are live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can see all the fun photos we share, like my hobby progress. Seth, what have you been up to?
I've promised chat that I would get some models done for them this week.
Ooh.
So I actually managed to finish one of my hammerheads.
Dang,
I've
dude.
been
Did you do that with an airbrush? How did you? How did you?
I mean, it was
airbrush, right?
base coated with an airbrush, and then everything else was done by hand.
Well done. Well done.
But it came out well. This is a model that I've had for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
So I finally finished it. I finally finished
Congratulations.
it. Yay! So I'm happy. I know my tower, not my best looking army, but I like them. So
Well, it's cool that
along.
you're at least sticking through with a consistent theme, whether the models be painted, yesterday or 12 years ago. So
trying to be consistent here.
I like it, man. I
So
like it.
Kicker, is there anything going on in the industry?
Oh, geez. I don't know. There was a preview today. Maybe we should talk about that. Right. Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
this episode, we do have a guest. So we're not going to spend too much time talking about all the stuff that was at the preview. Guys, you know where to find it. Go to Warcom. Go check it out. There's all the new previews. There's more stuff tomorrow, then more stuff after that, then more stuff after that. Right now, though, we had chaos. Today was the day of chaos. Lots and lots of chaos. Personally, I'm not a chaos fanatic. I know there are diehard chaos fans that are like,
I don't think there are. I mean,
oh,
do
come
you
on.
think
There's
there are
so
actually
many.
any, like,
You're being
chaos fans
sarcastic.
that are
There's a few diehard chaos fanatics that are very excited about all these new models because there are a shit ton of models. I don't know if I'm allowed. I'm just going to say it straight up. Yeah, there's a lot of models. I didn't think there were going to be this many new models.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. That's there was a cultists. There was some like HQ group.
Yeah.
There was different cultists.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Cultists. There was like possessed. There was the new demon prince. Yeah, they've done a lot to update that range, which is good on them.
Yeah.
They're also I don't know if you noticed, Kicker, but did you know that they finally maybe previewed there was like another chaos book coming?
Oh, what? Yeah,
Did
right.
you- yeah,
I
yeah.
think
They're
that means
finally
they're going
doing
to
the book
officially
of the
get
World
updated.
Eaters. Yeah.
Finally, yeah. Oh, the world. Oh, you're talking about the World Eaters. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. I think they were showing
their
off
own
the
supplement.
axes, the trademark World Eater
Our
axes.
beloved tech priest Dicky, not with us tonight. He seems to enjoy them, so I'm sure that we will be forced to cover that book more when it comes out, whether we like it or not. It'll just end up in our show notes somehow.
And guys, those Berserker models they currently have are so old. They
like what, early 2000?
Yeah, and they have these goofy like skipping poses. I like some people say they're charging. No, to me they're just skipping forward. They really do need an update. Before we move on from the chaos, I do want to point out something that was really cool from the new releases that no one else I've seen has been talking about it. The new Demon Prince. Did you notice that it has a bunch of different head options? Right? There's one for each one of the
like almost. Yeah,
there's
God specific
Nurgle,
heads.
there's a Khorne, you have one for, and I'm like, that is awesome. There's also a generic head, right? Too, but I love that they're giving you options here to kind of make your Chaos Demon Prince appropriate for your army. So that makes me happy.
I mean, I like that. I feel like Demon Princes are like the one thing that every Chaos player is like, oh, Demon Prince, let me just convert that baby up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So, but I think this is a great starting point for them, getting those like that bestial head for Khorne, and then just going nuts from there. So
and the Zinch one or whatever, the little beaked one, like I love that model. Okay, so I don't know. I love when GW.
I mean, he looks like big man in a tiny coat a little bit there.
Oh man, but you gotta love when GW gives these options to personalize
Yeah.
armor, so that we're not obligated to go out and buy multiple kits, like I just did in our hobby progress segment earlier, to try and make my models feel special and whatnot. Um,
You are special to me,
I
Kicker.
am. Oh, thanks, Seth. I appreciate that. I want to talk about the Knights. We know they're dropping this weekend,
Mhm.
so guys, get ready because they're going to be hitting the table soon. Knights are looking pretty solid. I don't think that they're going to be the best of the best out there, but they're definitely going to be seen at every tournament, no doubt about that. And the new Start Collecting box, that's a great
It is a
value. That's
great deal.
yeah,
Holy
yeah.
crap.
I mean, so just because the value in that box, I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of Chaos Knight players hitting the table, and then probably next few weeks as they get those, as those get built. You're going to be, Seth is pointing himself.
I will probably not buy the models yet,
Yeah,
but I'm definitely wanting to go down that road hobby wise.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
What
bought
are
a
you
lot
thinking?
of
Like a lot of the War Dogs, or are you thinking about going a few of the big boys?
the scariest list I've seen is a bunch of war dog spam
Yeah,
because those
yeah.
war dogs can just be
Oh yeah, totally.
an SOB in combat, and
Mhm.
there's a bunch of them. And the knights are always I don't want to call them a gatekeeper because there's certainly some people that can really use them to
Yeah,
very high levels, but they're always one of those armies where it's asking you a binary question.
yeah.
Do you have the ability to kill large amounts of armor or do you not have that
Deal with
ability?
this or
If
not.
you don't, you're done.
Yeah,
There's no game. You're going to get run over. If you do, okay, you got a game. We'll see how that works
yeah.
out.
Well, now with the new codexes dropping, there's more options than ever for the both knight factions. So it'll
Yeah.
be fun to see what kind of list evolve from that. Let's jump back to the preview really fast. I wanted to mention the squat. Yes, the second squat model, and
I mean, I think you mean the Legion of Votan.
sorry, the Legion. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to use derogatory terms like squat. Yeah, got to be politically correct. The Legion of Voltan. They have a brand new biker model.
Not that one.
Not
That's
that one.
not
Yeah,
the
let's
brand new
scroll
one. That's
down.
the
That's
old
the
one.
old ancient model with tires. Yeah.
Our producer says no, the first
There
model
we
is correct.
go.
All right.
Look at that
He turned the
sexy.
tires sideways and started hovering. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
So okay, knee jerk reaction. Honestly, don't like the way it looks. Personally, not a fan. But do you know what makes up for that? Is the kick ass shotgun this guy's throwing. Like that is a shotgun he's got right there. He's got like the shot. I mean, like I love that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe I'm a sucker for shotguns.
It's a shotgun revolver.
It's a
Yeah,
shotgun revolver. It's whatever the hell it is. It's a cool gun he's holding, and that makes up for the rest of the model for me
yeah.
personally. What do you
I'm
think,
in
Seth?
for
Are
it.
you liking this model?
I'm in for it.
Yeah,
I think that very interestingly aesthetically. I'm again. We've talked about it before. I want to see them have a unique play style.
yeah,
I mean, I know I got into the game third edition. By third edition, it was gone. Squats were
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
nids ate them all. The biomass was consumed. So I know nothing.
Well, let's see how they play. Looks like they're
Yeah.
going to have some pretty. I mean, obviously they're all new models, but I'm really curious to see the
I mean, if you
aesthetic of the
have that
model.
model, that
Yeah,
one, that old one right there,
yeah,
and you
yeah. The
bring
old
it out, put
tricycle.
it on the table, I will tip my non-existent hat to you, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah. You win regardless if you're playing with a vintage Legion army. Okay, one other big announcement from today, guys, was the new chapter approved is coming. Yay or nay, I don't care. Some people are very happy. Some people are like, oh, geez, another book. It's going to be nice because it's going to balance out the game even more. Some cool updates regarding how CP
Mhm.
is going to be handed out. But most importantly, Seth, I'm going to let you say what's the really big news here. Go say it. He's preparing. Yeah, there we go. Stretching, stretching. Okay.
3 points
Yes.
updates.
Yes, you heard it here first on Signals from the Frontline. If you didn't read Warcom, yes,
Yeah,
you will be
you did.
getting
Also did
free
increases this
point
morning.
updates,
Yeah,
which is
that, I
wonderful.
think that is going to a system of free points updates. I think is one, it's needed, and two, it opens up a lot of options for them balance wise. They can update points. They can update that document more frequently than they
Mhm.
update a mission packet. And so that allows for them to adjust some things as the meta evolves and changes over time.
That's
So
huge, man. That's
yeah,
huge.
I mean, everyone's been calling for it for a while, and it's here. I do think the book's a little earlier than I was anticipating because they said 2 books a year, and the first one came out late January, early February. So that's
They have they haven't set a release date yet, so
yeah,
we
they
can
haven't yet.
speculate. But as of right now, we don't have a confirmed release date, so it might be 6 months after the first one. But we'll have to give it some time. We'll give
Yeah,
it some
I
time.
mean, I I would be 6 months is like late July, early August. I think that's fine if it comes out in that time frame. I would not be surprised if we saw it late June, early July
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
I wouldn't say unhappy with that, but that's when Charity Hammer is.
yeah.
And last Charity Hammer, I was scrambling to learn an Orc Codex that had come out like 4 days before I had to leave. So if I could go to another charity hammer and try to play on stream and entertain people and not have to learn a new set of rules, that'd be great.
See, Seth, the entire GW Corporation's sole plan is to make your life complicated. That's all they're
My
doing.
my life
It
specifically, yes, I know.
revolves around you, Seth.
Yeah, I know. Thank you,
Guys, I
thank you.
do want to talk about some new products coming out from not just GW, but from Frontline Gaming. Check these things out. These are objective markers that are designed to match the mat you play on. So if you've got a desert themed mat, well, guess what? You can get objective markers that will imagine, that match that. So that, it kind of keeps you immersed in
Yeah, there we go.
universe. There we go. Okay, if you're looking right now on screen, you can see some of the examples. We've got a forest one.
Yeah.
Basically, these are already, are mats you know and love, but just put into circular objective marker sizes with a little, crosshatch pattern or target
Is
pattern on
there
them.
a perhaps a FLG employee with a large cookie cutter
Uh,
at your facility? Is that what's going on here?
yes, that's exactly. Well, I mean, it's
Leo is in there with just a cookie
yeah,
cutter just
boom, boom.
going
It's a little bit more sophisticated than a cookie cutter, but yeah, we basically have a large cookie cutter cutting out mats into objective markers, which is perfect. Which is perfect. I mean, dude, that's one of my big things. Is we play this very cool immersive game, and I
Yeah.
really don't want to be distracted by too many objective markers that take away from my imagination, my creativity, my immersion. So this is really kind of cool. Now we will be rolling out more and more of those objective markers in different themes
Yeah.
to fit the different mat. Guys, I want to remind you also ACO's coming up. We would like to ask you guys to stay on site. Obviously, this helps us
Mhm.
tremendously because we, are obligated to get people to stay on site to help the venue to offset the cost of the venue space. But also, staying on site's just a better option. We have another week before the discounted room rates will no longer be discounted. You'll be paying the full price. So, if you are thinking about coming to the ACO, or if you're already coming to the ACO and you're not sure where to stay, get your room discount rate locked in now and help Frontline Gaming out. I wanted to also say that Thomas Alvarez, who won the limo, he won the limo ride that we're raffling away. So he's getting picked up by a limo to and from. We have another raffle taking place that we're picking for next week. Sorry, and that's the
Yeah.
winner of the free stay and free meal at the ACO. So we are doing a few
If
different
Thomas
fun
wins that
raffles.
too?
Yeah, say what?
What if
Uh,
Thomas wins that too?
Oh, Thomas is not. You can't win two of it. You can't win two.
Oh,
That's not allowed. I'm gonna. If
oh,
he wins two, I'm just pulling him. You know what? If he wins two, I'm voting for him to win the damn tournament. Food. Okay, and so we've also talked about the Las Vegas team tournaments coming up as well. Yes, I know September is still a little ways away, but we're already working on the format for that.
yeah. You were talking about getting ready for LVO
Yeah,
already.
we're all over the LVO 6 months. We got a lot. We got a lot to plan on, man. But the big thing that's very I don't use the word controversial, but people really are eager to discuss the format for these team tournaments. Cast your vote. We have a poll. Tell
Yeah.
us what format you want. Basically, differential or win loss. I know. What do you think, Seth? What is your personal opinion on
I
this?
think a
Don't.
lot of I think differential adds a interesting layer to list planning and pairings, but it is a bit of a barrier for newer teams. So I see both sides of it. I personally like variety in 40K.
Mhm.
I like different terrain sets. I like different missions when there was
So
multiple
you
mission
want the
types.
differential
So
because you can
I'm
lean
interested
into
in
that.
differential because it would make that event different than just going to a singles event.
Okay, let me
You would
just pull
see
up.
different lists, see different matchups.
I'm pulling up the poll right now.
There's
Right now, there's
challenges
a
for a Kix cereal eating contest at ACO.
yeah, I'm all for having a kick serial leading contest. I can support that. Thank you, chat. I would love that. I'm pulling up the current poll right now. By far, the differential. I can't say that word. The D word.
Differential.
Differential that is winning the poll right now. So this is not nothing's finalized yet, but that looks
Yep.
like the format that's winning. Seth, let's just say one last thing about Cruise Hammer because I'm obligated to remind you guys that if you Cruise Hammer, you've got your last opportunity to get your discounted cruise rate. It's for that. It's all inclusive. It's amazing. That ends next Wednesday. So make
Nice.
sure you get your
Get on that boat.
and then last but not least, the BAO is happening later this month, and we have the one and only Val going to be there corresponding. Matt Demecki of Dice Check and Magikarp Use Fly fame will be there. The whole family. I think Adam Camilleri. So you do not want to
Yeah.
miss.
There's this
BAO.
guy that you might
Oh, there's this
remember.
guy. Yes, Vanguard Tactics will be having
Yeah.
their workshop there. You do not want to miss that. So if he sold out at Las Vegas. So if you're thinking about going and
Not sold out as in like lost his soul.
Thank you, Seth. Yes, his Vanguard Tactics Workshop class did sell at LVO. We can only have a few. We have to have significantly less people at BAO just because of space. But yeah, so a lot happening at BAO later this week. All right, Seth, why don't we jump into the FLGN news?
Yeah, we're going to get through this pretty quick because I know we've had our guest on the hook for a bit here. Grim After Dark had, in my opinion, their best guest back on, Taylor for Taylor. And they introduced a new running meme called Seth O Vision, which is them just slapping my face next to the rest of their memes.
Oh, that sounds great. I love it.
I feel like they're just getting lazy at this point. You know, they got to try harder. I told them as much behind the scenes that if they really want to come at me, they got to try harder than that.
Oh,
Chapter Tactics tackled the new NID Codex, which sounds like it's going to be quite fierce. So give that a listen if you want to get yourself brushed up on what the Hive Mind is planning. And then War Games Live is at Hero Complex Games on his way to the Motor City Mayhem. Was just talking to Joe before the show, and he was kind of feeling down. Kicker, you know why?
Why was he feeling down?
GW streaming this weekend, the Seattle.
Whew.
And he was like, he was worried he wasn't going to get a lot of viewers.
Oh
so
no, but come on, Joe's stream is amazing, guys.
Yeah, I said, don't worry about it, buddy. I think you'll still get plenty of folks jumping in. But that being said, Kicker, let's launch into our main segment, the thing that everyone is here for.
Yes.
Mark.
No one cares about us. Let's bring
welcome back our beloved writer.
I believe his term is the Stats Dad. Is that the new
our new Dr. Stats Dad, Nathan Heading, recently minted doctor, here to explain to us why everything is fine and you're wrong.
And he literally is a doctor now, a doctor of stats. I mean, he has
I am a doctor, but not of stats.
No. We just run with it. It's cool. It's fine.
Okay, fine. Okay, we'll say this doctorate is in statistics.
We here at the Frontline Gaming University have bestowed upon you an honorary doctorate of 40K stats.
We are totally an accredited institution. It's okay.
Perfect. Let's let me just take a quick look at it.
Nathan's just checking out his internet real fast. Seth, do you want to give a little background where Nathan, like he's got a blog on he's got articles posted.
Nathan runs started off writing a number of articles. I would say he's the spiritual successor to our beloved Peter the Falcon. Peter was not able to take up that mantle in the stats world. And so Nathan and a few fellows who I believe are here with him in chat tonight have stepped up to fill that void and provide the stats that we so lovingly need to make our informed opinions. He started off writing articles for Frontline Gaming, and he actually spun off into doing his own weekly show. Is that right? Can you hear us, Nathan?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine. Yeah, so we do Fight Club every week as part of the Best in Tabletop Network. Every Tuesday, Ines, Anthony, and I go through the meta, talking about last week's tournament results. And then now that I've finished my dissertation, I have time again to start writing meta-analysis articles for Frontline Gaming. So that will be starting probably next week. So we'll start putting those up again.
I do not want to get into the weeds here, but we do have to ask you, because you've asked us to revisit your personal favorite sugary breakfast cereal selection because you were getting a lot of shame for your previous choice, you said. So what is your favorite sugary breakfast cereal? And choose wisely.
I went back into the way back machine to think about what I used to love as a kid, and it's really Captain Crunch Oops All Berries, or one of the Count Chocula series of cereals like Frankenberry. Or
so I knew you were a classy gentleman. I knew it. I'm so happy to hear these things. Okay, now let's talk about the stats in the meta. Seth, why don't you got the first thing you want to?
So I guess to understand where we are now from a stats standpoint, I think we need to look back at where we were in the last few months in terms of army prevalences and win rates. And I know that you've been cooking some numbers up for us, Nathan. And I let's take it away.
Yeah, let's see. So actually, I decided to add some visuals that were generated by Cliff, who's a member of the Stats Illuminati. That is essentially me, Curie, and Cliff.
I think
we have no power.
Is data visualization,
but this is a visualization of GT performance since February. If it's still there, I think it might just be my face. Oh no, that's fine. Okay. So we'll put a link in the show notes. You can look at GT performance, and it has a bunch of filters on it, so you can take a look at the changes in the meta. And then also on there is a sub faction win rates and games played feature as well. Ooh. And also the data visualization comes with some guides for how best to read it based on where win percentages are and like where we kind of look for Goldilocks zones
There
in
we
the
go.
stats. So you can kind of see that Goldilocks zone of about 45 to 55%, and then anything above 55 or anything below 45 essentially being where we consider a problem area. And then once you get even further outside of those, you see factions that are in dire need of balancing. And so the graph that we put up here is everything since Cherokee, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
As
is a
of this
summation of
weekend,
all the
basically,
data.
it's up
Yep,
to date
all
as.
for this weekend.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And
they work all weekend collecting data. I check in with these guys. They don't take a stop.
we don't
They don't take
stop.
a break.
We never
There are no
stop.
breaks, Kicker.
Do you want to give us some highlights? Because it looks like Ultramarines is not doing too good, which is not a surprise, obviously.
No, so when you really break down this data, a lot of Space Marine factions have suffered for a long time. So in a lot of our analytics that we do down the pipe a little bit more, we look at mostly kind of combining all the Marine factions together. Otherwise, they like pull the graph all the way down because there are a lot of Marine factions that are in the like 40-ish percentage win rate area. And that really hasn't changed across metas. So really in this larger meta, what we have are three smaller metas. So you have the meta immediately after Cherokee, which was essentially what I like to call the Tau Custodes meta.
Yes.
And then that transitions into the Harlequins meta.
Boo.
And then that transitions into our post data slate meta, which might be fairly short lived depending on how fast that chapter approved comes out, because then we'll have a chapter approved 2022 meta essentially at that point.
Yeah,
Or
and we have the new
nihilists
knights
or whatever
coming
they've
out.
called it. Yep. And we'll have knights and we'll have a few other things changing. We'll see whether knights have a big enough impact to say they've formed their own meta.
Yeah.
But really, I've named those metas after the factions that really shaped them. So I'm going to talk a little bit from spreadsheets now. I think this is where we're going to kind of lose out on our visualizations. But if you want to go look at that chart and you want to play around with it, I will make sure that a link is included and you should go see it because Cliff has done some amazing work and you can break it
Yes.
down by sub factions in each faction for their own win rates and how often people are playing those factions. So take a look. So when we look back at Cherokee, that's really when we had that Tau and Custodes meta, right? So we had Tau and Custodes at 68.2 for Tau and 65.9% win rates for Custodes. Then we had Tyranids, Forces of the Hive Mind, Drukhari, and Chaos Demons kind of pulling up behind that. And those factions, especially Tau and Custodes, were hitting like the 20 to 25% of the meta at that point. So we saw those two factions even going over Space Marine faction representation at that point. And that was kind of the characterizing feature of that meta in particular.
We've got a live view of the screen.
There we go.
Producer Val playing around on the back end.
And so that kind of goes through the first part of March, right when the Codex Eldari was released. And then about a week after that, March 13th, March 20th, depending on how you want to view it, based on how tournaments started taking up things, you started to see the Harlequin meta come in. And this is where things kind of got really shifty. This is where we started to see numbers that I'm sure everybody remembers, where we saw near 80% win rates out of Harlequins.
Yeah.
We saw Harlequins jump up from less than 1% representation faction to a 5.6% representation faction in the meta, which a 5 times jump in meta rep is a lot, especially for a relatively rare faction. And over the whole period of the Quins meta, what we really saw was a 76.5% win rate.
Jeez.
And that was, we didn't have Custodes Eldari, which is pure Craft World Eldars for folks, and then Tau and then Tyranids still kind of pulling it up in above 55% win rates. And you still had at that point, because it's pre-data slate, you still had Custodes at about 12 and Tau at about 11. So you still had about 20 to 25% of the meta basically made up of Tau and Custodes. And I like that we're pulling up these individuals. So you can see how this works for this chart and how you can see the win rates of individual sub-factions as well over time. And you can also change those date ranges on the chart as well.
Yeah.
And then finally, just recently, in the last few weeks, we've created this new meta, kind of centered around the Tyranids book, but more centered around the data slate. Because what we've really seen is a return of Space Marine factions to the competitive scene. So just these last couple of weeks, what we've really seen is about an 18% representation for Marine factions, which is a big jump. We'd actually seen Custodes by themselves surpass Marine numbers in the meta. And then when you have basically one faction kind of over-representing something like half of the factions in 40K almost at that point, probably have a problem, especially when that faction's the poster boy of every Games Workshop release ever.
Yeah.
And so now we have Tyranids, though, in the top spot. So Tyranids are the newest book. They are very good. And they're sitting at a 65.2% win rate. And they're about 10% of the meta. So they've jumped from about 5 to 7%, which is where they were during kind of the Crusher Stampede days, to about 10% of the meta now, which represents a pretty big jump. And then right behind them, you have Harlequins, who have dropped quite a bit from 5% to 3%. I know my camera's freezing a lot. And then you have Craft World Eldar, who are at 9.3%. Eldari, who have gone up to 1.2. And then interesting, and this is the thing that I like to see the most, people talk about the golden cliff for meta representation a lot. So you would see Custodes as the most represented overall faction, and then a big jump before the next faction. And now we've got Custodes sitting at about 6%.
Okay, cool.
So Custodes have started to relax, and then Tau have also started to relax. They've dropped down to about 8.
Yep.
And then
makes sense.
Have there
all those factions...
Have the Tau win rate really significantly dropped? I mean, do you have that off the top of your head?
So we do only have about 373 games right now. So win rate is a statistic that I use because it's really easy to interpret, but it gets more powerful as you get more games added to it. But they're at about a 53.4, which is considered to be in the band where you would consider them to be balanced.
It's acceptable, Cool.
Yeah, and they, for reference, they were in the high 60s at their peak. So yeah, I think that's interesting to me that we've seen. Oh, so this is the filter for the last 3 weeks, according to our producer Val. I'm assuming Nathan, take us through this. The colors. What's the color indications here? We got blues and reds essentially.
Each square will be a faction, and then in that square around them will be the number of sub-factions, and how represented they are determines the size of the square, essentially.
Okay, cool.
So you can see for Tyranids there in the upper left-hand corner, you have Leviathan, and it's mostly Leviathan, and they have a 65% win rate. And then if you go slightly to the right, you can see Behemoth, and then to the right again.
All right, yeah.
Dude, this is such a cool tool that you have here. I mean, people need to see.
I'm guessing blues are higher win percentages. It's a heat map essentially, and reds are lower win percentages.
I would have to double check with Cliff to make sure.
Yeah, Cliff, if you're in chat, buddy, let me know, and I'll relay it to the audience here.
Yes, it also helps to visually break down just nearness to each other as well.
Yeah. So that is definitely a really cool tool. I'm excited to mess around with it as soon as we get off the air. And we'll definitely get that link from you and share that out for the folks. But yeah, it's interesting to see kind of just for what a lot of folks felt, self included, like I thought the Tau nerfs were pretty soft, but them dropping, almost 12% in a win rate.
Yeah. Significant.
It's pretty big jump. Yeah. So
they're still doing well at events. It's important to note. Like they're still winning events. They won 2 GTs just this last weekend. So Tau are definitely not out of the meta. And
look,
what we're
I need
starting
you to downplay how good Tau are so people don't yell at me for being a power gamer. Okay.
I'm definitely not. So what I'm going to say is that after 2 weeks of data, you don't really want to draw too many conclusions about how things are doing and whether they're good or bad. And a lot of the things are also that you're adapting to a new army that's kind of come into the scene. So Tyranids are very good, and they've become a lot more present. And then you've also have Marines kind of surging back in popularity. And you also saw Marines take 2 and then Grey Knights take 1. So you've got a lot more power armor. And you saw, I believe an Art of War member ended up taking Sisters to go 7-1 at the Dallas Open. So you've got people starting to make more success with factions that had previously been considered kind of in the dumpster. Although I will say that our poor Astra Militarum friends, I know that a lot of people were very hyped about the buffs that they received, about Hammer of the Emperor being 6s to hit auto wound. It's not enough. And these last couple of weeks, we have them about a 2.2% of the meta representation, and then a 23.8% win rate.
23?
Which is actually lower than before the data slate.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
No. So just a hot take here. NIDS, do we think that they are more powerful than before with the Crusher Stampede?
Oh, yeah.
I think they're better than they were with just Crusher Stampede and old data slates. So one of the things that is very commonly said is that Crusher took bad data slates and made them good with more rules and stratagems. And what they did with the new book is they took a lot of those previously bad data slates and made them really good. So it's kind of nice that in the balanced data slate they decided to take out Crusher Stampede, because otherwise we would have had good data slates and really good rules, creating probably a Harlequins-esque kind of problem, which is less interesting.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you see just one list repeated over and over again. And I'm going to tell all of you that after I've read the 20th Custodes list during the Custodes meta, where it was all Emperors chosen and they were all the same, I got really tired of saying the same things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
There was a point where I started to copy and paste explanations.
All right, Nathan. Before we sign off and start moving over into the hobby track and comp track, right now, who's going to win the next few major events? Like, call it the army. What's the army that's going to rise to the top for the next? Let's call it next month. What's the one to watch?
So I would really watch Craft World Eldar.
Okay.
Nick Nanavati kind of proved a point, I think, at the Dallas Open by taking them to a win at a major or super major. I can't remember. I never remember the breakdowns for events and player count anymore. But I think Nanavati proved that there's a lot of room there for a very skilled player to kind of go through the meta. And several players used power armored armies to go through multiple Tyranids lists. So I think there's room there for people to play into Tyranids. But I do think we'll probably see kind of an event split between Tyranids and Craft World Eldar once people kind of get the reins of Tyranids, and once we kind of see how high level players play with Craft World in an environment that is a little bit more friendly to them.
Yeah. Hey, have we seen Naden take to the field yet with updated Eldar? I mean, I haven't seen him.
No, from my understanding, he's in WTC prep time.
Okay. Cool.
Anyway, let's hop into the competitive news, and then we can get to some listener questions and wrap this one up. I'm not going to do a meta update because that man did it much better than I ever could. So there you go. But stick with us, Nathan. We enjoy having you.
I'll be here.
Excuse me. For our 40K competitive track, our number one is Manny Chima, still the reigning spammy Chima. I love you, Manny, but that nickname just works too well, man. Number 2, Matt Robertson. Number 3, Thomas Ogden. Number 4, Mike Porter. And number 5, it still pains me to say this, Ennis Wilson. Please, can someone score more points and knock him out of the top 5? Just his ego, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Someone, Nathan, you have to agree with me, buddy. He's your co-host.
No, I love Ennis.
Wrong answer.
Sorry, Seth.
Okay. I see who you love more. Let's get into the hobby track photo.
Don't make me choose between my children.
No.
Children. I think I'm older than you. Number 1, Morgan Tempe. Number 2, Jamie Pirazzolo. Number 3, Linton Rowan. Number 4, Jacob Thayer. Number 5, Eric Mullins. And kicker, you had some photos you wanted to show off here.
Yeah, let's pull down these beautiful photos of John Oates. No, we're not going to pull down.
We don't have the photos. They are not ready.
They are not ready. We have some beautiful models from
we'll
one
get
of our
to
friends.
those next time, folks.
Yes, one of our friends overseas sent us some photos. We'll send them next time.
Let's check out the AOS competitive track. Number 1, Thomas Guan. Number 2, Jordan Duncan. Number 3, Matt Guyan. I'm going to try to say it that way. I think someone told me to say not the end. Number 4, Levin Sichinanavwa. I probably messed that one up. And number 5, Mitch Kawaja.
That sounds great.
That one I definitely messed up.
No, that's perfect. You get that right.
Hobby track. This is where things get a little easier for me. Number 1, Matt Abbott. Number 2, Robert Snyder, which once again, no one has proved to me that it is not Ryan Snyder in a mustache. He already has a mustache. In a trench coat playing AOS. Number 3, Tim Ham. Number 4, Carl Rohr. And number 5, Aaron Newbaum. And that is your ITC recap for the week. Chat. Get those questions in if you got them. I saw one right there. What do you guys think about Chaos Knights at the moment? We were talking about that a little bit pre-air. Most of that codex has already been leaked and previewed, so we have a good idea of what's coming. The various YouTubers that have access to it have already let that out into the wild. I definitely think there's some scary Warglaive builds. What do you think there, Nathan?
So I'm not as excited as other people are about Chaos Knights. I'm not a Knights player, but I'm not as excited. I'm not as concerned, but I also haven't had time to sit down and deep dive the Chaos Knights Codex.
All right. So what
One
I'm
of the
going to need you to do
things
is I'm going to
that
need you to
I'm
play against your co-host Anthony with his like 9 Arbinger or Warglaive, whatever Warhound thing, and then you come back to me and tell me how you feel.
Okay, guys. One
Yeah,
thing we got to do:
we can do that.
rules put aside. Knights like custodians, quick army to build and get on the
They
table.
are.
So
True.
who cares about how good or bad the rules are? You're gonna see them. So be prepared to take on giant, big robots with a lot of wounds, because that's gonna
Yeah.
be there for at least. I mean, people are gonna get probably in a week. You'll start seeing the tables, getting bombarded with this stuff.
Definitely.
Make
I
sure
cut you
that
off
you've
there.
got enough stuff to deal with T8 bodies with invulnerable saves and lots
Yeah.
of wounds.
Yeah.
This is a good question that Dr. Statsad can answer. Can demons perform outside of the Bellacore subfaction?
No.
Ooh.
No, just no.
There you go. No, not up for debate. All right.
Captain Andrew, I'm sorry, but Statstat has spoken, and the answer is no.
I'm sorry, guys. Demons are in a really bad spot outside of Bellacore and that like greater demon spam.
And if I'm reading the tea leaves, I'm guessing that they're going to be one of the last books updated, because they specifically said in the preview for the new Warzone mission book that they were updating a lot of codex stuff, but also adding new stuff for demons and guard, because they're probably not getting a codex.
Yeah, those are just patches. Those are patches. Keep them together.
Yeah,
Keep them
I'm guessing we won't see demons until like maybe right before World Eaters or something like that at this point.
We got another question. Do you think we're going to see White Scars coming back as the dominant Space Marine build?
No.
So we've been seeing the
No.
no.
This is the hot take we've come here for.
Yes or no response. So we do know Salamanders, Black Templars right now are doing really well with the Armor of Contempt and whatnot.
I would be remiss in saying that there's a very opinionated British man I know that would be mad if I did not mention Iron Hands.
Iron Hands, yeah. Yeah, I don't think White Scars are going to be making it the cut this season.
I think Blood Angels have some play, but Salamanders are the easy choice.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I've had a few good games into Death Watch.
Cool.
And
Death Watch is a good pick.
And they should be theoretically well positioned, tech and strat wise for countering Eldar and Nids and Tau potentially.
Dark Angels are another one that's really good. Terminator's got a lot out of Armor of Contempt.
Yeah.
Especially when you can stack Armor of Contempt with Transhuman.
Yeah.
And Azrael, say, giving them all 4-up invulnerable save, and their native 5-up invulnerable save, and then -1 damage from incoming fire.
And then you can give
really
them access to a 5-up ignore mortal wounds.
Yep.
Yeah, I may have played against a fellow host on this network, Danny the Moist McDevitt, with his 35 Deathwing Terminators, and that list was unpleasant.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
Yep. Final question. What do you guys feel about Necrons in the current meta?
No.
Yeah.
No. That's how you feel, is no. What you didn't hear behind the scenes, folks, is producer Val said it's like Peter's here.
Yeah, you are doing a damn good job of filling his shoes, my friend. No, it is
we
a shame.
Love you, Peter.
It is a shame that the Necrons were the poster boys for the bad guys in the beginning of the edition, but they're just even with the little boost here and there, they're just still struggling.
I'm kind of hoping that because they're on the cover of the new chapter approved, that maybe they'll get something out of it. That would be really cool, right, guys?
Really
if
nice.
All of a sudden that would be great if Necrons could be decent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
not depressing.
All right. With that, let's wrap this one up for the night. No, we're not. We're going to go forever. Okay.
No, we're going to keep going for a while.
Nathan,
it's like my toddler. Just no.
Thank you so much for coming on, Nathan. We really appreciate having you. Do you have any final thoughts for the audience before we send you to bed? To bed?
Well, it's a pleasure, as always, to be on this show. I love being on here, and I love being able to provide people with stats that hopefully are useful, or at least somewhat informative. And I continue to be enamored by the fact that I get to be on all the podcasts that I used to listen to every week. So that's always fun. So, audience, just be good to each other. Be good sports. Don't get tilted. Be kind.
Yes. Kicker, final thoughts for the night?
I think Nathan said it best, guys. Just be nice to each other.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Signals from the Frontline. Have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Good night, guys.